Last month, a friend in my list told me he just paid $3,800 to replace the diesel particulate filter on his 2019 Tacoma. $3,800 for one part. And here's what kills me. His neighbor drives a 2003 Tacoma with 360,000 miles on it. Same driveway, same commute. That truck has never needed a repair that cost more than $400. Same brand, 20 years apart. Exposed to the same salt, same roads, same weather. One of them is bleeding money. The other one just runs. And that gap, that difference, isn't random. It's the direct result of a regulatory shift that happened in the mid-2000s, and a growing number of informed buyers have figured out how to use it to their advantage. Legally. Zero risk. And they're saving thousands of dollars a year doing it. So let me set the stage. Between 2004 and 2007, the EPA rolled out what's called the Tier 2 emission standards. States like California had already been pushing their own aggressive requirements through CARB, but Tier 2 was the federal hammer. It required every manufacturer, Toyota included, to dramatically reduce tailpipe emissions across their entire lineup. Now, here's the thing. Nobody's arguing that cleaner air is bad. That's not what this is about. The question is what those mandates did to the mechanical complexity of everyday vehicles. Because to meet those targets, engineers had to bolt on system after system after system. Diesel particulate filters, selective catalytic reduction with DEF fluid, secondary air injection, more sophisticated EGR valves, additional oxygen sensors, redesigned EVAP systems, layer after layer of emissions hardware, each with its own failure points, its own sensors, its own repair costs. And all of that complexity? It didn't exist, or existed in far simpler form, on Toyotas built before roughly 2006. 7-liter V8. Look at it. Really look at it. You can see the engine. You can reach the spark plugs with a basic socket set. The intake manifold isn't buried under a plastic engine cover hiding a spaghetti nest of vacuum lines. The ECU is managing a fraction of the sensor inputs that a modern powertrain controller deals with. Now compare that to a 2024 model. I'm not picking on Toyota here. They're still among the best. But the sheer volume of emission-related hardware on any modern vehicle is staggering. More components means more failure points. More failure points mean more trips to the shop. More trips to the shop mean more money walking out of your wallet. And listen, this isn't theoretical. The data backs it up. Consumer Reports reliability surveys consistently show that emission system-related repairs are among the most expensive and most common issues on vehicles past the 100,000-mile mark. We're talking catalytic converter failures running $2,000 to $3,000. DPF replacements north of $3,000. DEF system malfunctions that can put a truck in limp mode on the highway. A pre-2006 Toyota? It has a catalytic converter and basic oxygen sensors. That's essentially it. If the cat goes bad at 250,000 miles, you're looking at maybe $400 to $600. That's the whole story. Here's something that should tell you everything. Municipal fleet managers, the people whose literal job is to minimize vehicle operating costs, have been quietly holding onto pre-emission Toyotas and other simple platform trucks for years. I've spoken with fleet coordinators who run Land Cruisers from 2000 to 2005 as field vehicles. They'll tell you the same thing. Per mile cost is a fraction of the newer units. One fleet manager in Colorado told me he ran the numbers across 40 vehicles over 5 years. His pre-2006 Toyotas averaged 11 cents per mile in maintenance. His post-2015 trucks? 27 cents. Not because the new trucks are bad. They're just more complex. More complexity, more cost. It's not an opinion, it's arithmetic. So let's get specific, because not every old Toyota is created equal. There's a sweet spot, and it matters. 0 V6. This is arguably the king of the pre-emission Toyota world. Body on frame, real truck bones, legitimate off-road capability if you want it, and mechanically straightforward. Clean examples are going for $12,000 to $18,000 depending on mileage and rust. We light a V6. The 5VZ FE engine is borderline legendary. These trucks routinely cross 300,000 miles on original powertrain components. Prices have climbed. You're looking at $10,000 to $15,000 for a clean one. But the cost of ownership after purchase is almost comically low. The 1998 to 2007 Land Cruiser 100 series, the one serious enthusiasts call the greatest Toyota ever made. The 2UZ FE V8 in this thing was over-engineered from the factory. It's heavy, it drinks fuel, and it will outlive you. Prices range from $12,000 to $25,000. Yes, they've gotten expensive. We'll talk about why in a minute. And don't overlook the humble stuff. The 2000 to 2006 Camry and Corolla with the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engines. These are appliance-grade transportation. They're not exciting. They're not Instagram worthy, but they start every single morning, and they cost almost nothing to keep running. You can still find decent examples for $3,000 to $6,000. Now, I'd be lying to you if I said this was all upside. It's not. And anyone telling you to buy a 20-year-old vehicle without mentioning the downsides is either selling something or hasn't actually owned one. First, fuel economy. A 2004 4Runner V8 gets about 16 miles per gallon on a good day. A 100 series Land Cruiser? Maybe 14. If you're commuting 60 miles a day, that fuel cost adds up, and it partially offsets your maintenance savings. You have to run your own numbers based on your actual driving. Second, safety. No automatic emergency braking. No blind spot monitoring. No adaptive cruise. Airbag systems are simpler. Crash structures are a generation behind. These are real considerations, especially if you're putting your family in the vehicle. I'm not going to minimize that. Third, rust. If you're in the Salt Belt, the Midwest, the Northeast, parts of Canada. Finding a clean underbody example is getting harder every year, and frame rust on a body-on-frame truck isn't cosmetic. It's structural. You must inspect the frame. Period. Don't skip that. Fourth, the parts reality. Most mechanical parts for these trucks are still readily available and affordable. But some interior trim pieces, specific electronic modules, and certain body panels are getting scarce. The aftermarket fills a lot of gaps, but not all of them. Let's run real numbers. Say you buy a 2004 4Runner V8 for $15,000. Over 5 years, you budget $2,000 a year for maintenance and repairs. That's generous for these trucks. You're all in at $25,000 over 5 years. Now take a 2024 4Runner at a purchase price of, let's be conservative, $42,000. Finance that. And even at a decent rate, you're paying close to $48,000 over 5 years with interest. Add insurance premiums that are significantly higher. Add depreciation. That new truck loses 30 to 40% of its value in 5 years. You're underwater in ways you can't even feel yet. The 2004, it's not depreciating anymore. In many cases, clean examples are appreciating. You're driving an asset, not a liability. The total cost of ownership gap over 5 years can easily be $20,000 to $30,000. That's not pocket change. That's a down payment on a house in some markets. I do want to mention this. The market is catching on. 5 years ago, you could find a clean 100 series Land Cruiser for $8,000. Those days are gone. Clean pre-emission Tacomas that were $6,000 trucks in 2019 are now $15,000 trucks. Part of it is the export market. Buyers in Africa, the Middle East, Central America have always known about Toyota longevity, and they're buying clean examples and shipping them overseas. Part of it is the overlanding and off-road community driving up 4Runner and Land Cruiser prices. And part of it is simply that supply is shrinking. These trucks are 20 years old. Not all of them survived. I'm not saying panic buy. I'm saying, if this strategy makes sense for your situation, the best time to execute it was 3 years ago. The second best time is now. Prices aren't coming back down. So look, this isn't about hating new cars. Modern Toyotas are excellent vehicles. But there's a specific window of manufacturing, roughly 1995 to 2006, where Toyota's already conservative engineering existed in its simplest, most durable form. Before the emission mandates added layers of complexity. Before repair costs inflated. Before these trucks became collector's items. Smart drivers are buying them because the math works, the reliability works, and the ownership experience is something most people have forgotten cars could offer. You just drive them, maintain the basics, and they keep going. If you found this useful, I'm going deep on specific model year buyer's guides soon. Things to look for, what to avoid, where to find the cleanest examples. Subscribe so you catch those when they drop. And tell me in the comments, if you own a pre-2006 Toyota, how many miles are on it right now? I want to hear your numbers. I bet some of you are going to blow people's minds.